Why are we still here? Just to suffer. Every night, I can feel my leg and my arm.
What's really interesting about this lineup, to be fair, from Bliss is there is no hard breach on sides. They can't open up the fireplace wall. As you say, that normally is the place that a Glaz would sit and play. You'd smoke outside, you're going for a plant, the Glaz would cover you from backstairs, and everything comes out fine and dandy. They don't have that option, and I don't know if that's a mistake coming out of Bliss, or if they're cooking something very specific based on what they saw from DarkZero just a couple of days ago. For now, though, it starts out with the top floor clear. Unsurprisingly, that is still very important. But the fact that we have a Sens, a Glaz, and a Lion inside, to me, at the very least, suggests there is something naughty cooking in the books here for these boys. NJR, the first to fall in this game.
Well, the first victim, and probably going to be a very long contested explosion. Good C4 usage.
The curse strikes again.
If there is a position to be played, Canadian will be playing underneath it. Loves utilizing.
What was I saying about Glaz in our game earlier? It's happened again.
It's happened again.
Just always the first or second to get caught out, and therefore rendered largely useless, and the comp just falls apart. They've still got a lot of the smokes they can play behind, or in this case, the light screens, but they brought so many frag nades in the round as well. I don't really know what the game plan was there, whether it's to try and burn their way through these castle barricades because they've got no other option except the Ash to deal with that. I'm not sure, but it seems to be at least staying in their favor for now. They're into a 4 versus 2.
3 versus 2, just as quick, and with a minute, they have a lot of time to try and find their sliver over. Great shot from Brendo.
That's got Oda down.
Oda was a sliver away. Brendo's going to use this time to plant. There is another player watching the vertical, and the opening round is in Bliss's favor.
Bliss are working their way in from this north side, down across through the sort of like 90 corridor, and then looking in towards library. For now, though, largely untroubled by the side of Bliss.
4 versus 5. Nate finds that opener. As I said, this opening engagement could be one that dictates a bit of the pace here if they're able to get into that chaotic situation that Bliss might try and push on. And they have that 1-up. That 1-up turns into 1 round.
1-up, you say?
1-up, I said. Brendo, he's got himself just on the swing outside dining. He wants to try and put some pressure on towards the stairs, but nobody's forcing the motion here. Nobody's trying to force the players out into the catch. He needs, as we see here, Wettables and Sage to be that dictation of the pace. Brendo gets caught by the big bad Canadian. Beaulo gets the swing onto Wettables, and now it is just Sage left. Finds one.
A strange round that really lacked any teeth, I feel, on the side of Bliss, and DarkZero just domed every single challenger that walked upon them. One thing I will give Bliss, at least, they took all those gunfights in the space of, what, 2 or 3 seconds of each other? So this is the kind of thing we spoke about between CAG and BDS earlier on. Some teams, if you find a player stepping ahead and dying and there's no other like deaths that happen around that, especially as you're getting towards the sharp end of the round and things are starting to come to a close, it's a massive mistake on their side to be so far ahead of the rest of their team. So at least they're trying to make plays happen as a unit. Even if it's not coming off successfully, it still shows that they're on the same page.
Still hasn't been any of this direct pressure, I say, until we finally see the first bit, and it's down in red.
So we're throwing ourselves at shields, are we?
Insurmountable. NJR loses a shield, but I think the trade of 1 shield, 2 people, I'm pretty fine with that. Goes a little bit wider and gets executed for it, but the quick trade is there. And to be honest, why not at that point? Big bad Canadian, 2 big bad kills for the player. There was nothing that stressed their hold.
We're inting, I guess.
Now, as we find ourselves putting a bit of the pressure around and getting a build in, it will be this sort of setup, this sort of take here. The structure is coming together from DarkZero with this full extension, the awareness of what's coming out behind them. Obviously, this was the only round that Bliss won, and think about how they took it. They were very direct towards the site itself. They got themselves eyes on, even with the Sens, even with the Glaz, even with that pressure. Suddenly, that cacophony of explosions was one they got that first foot on. They went into the lead-in, and they're going to try and see if they can build on the back. Big bad Canadian, he's on the far side, drawing the attention, the ire, and hopefully the players. But again, he loves to play this space slightly off the center. He likes to extend and sort of throw himself into this build-up, into this engagement, and into where they can go next. They come in. Oh, close round the corner. Billiards on the side. He goes up. He gets himself a little bit distant, and he gets himself a little bit further back. All the attention, all the drones, all of it. And, well, what's he been able to take out of them? What's he been able to waste?
No, he's ratting himself down in the basement. That's the right kind of idea. Draw in the engagement and then see how much more time you can waste. And Oda's job really is going to be to chase this roamer down around the map. I mentioned it earlier, but it's probably because Canadian's really starting to feel himself that it's turning into this more aggressive playstyle on the Vigil, getting aggressive around the map, rather than things like the Valkyrie that we used to seeing coming out of him previously. Breach being opened up here, so now they've got that long line of sight in, not forgetting the hard breach gadgets this time around is pretty important, I'd say. They've now got a long view all the way through that top floor if they set themselves up inside a fireplace. Beaulo normally has got himself set up on Mez, and that's where he's been doing a lot of work, and sure enough, Otter's gone after that Roamer that I spoke about earlier and not dealt with him. Brendo into one, Pamba back the other way, and it's a 4v3 for DarkZero, starting out strong here, but can they keep on holding on, or can we see the Aussie side pull something back? If this round falls by the wayside, I'm fully expecting attack timeout, it's worth stating as well, because these last 3 rounds, I've said it after each one, they've been a little bit weird, they've been a little bit rogue, and something needs to be done to get things back on track. You can't really be affording to be down 5-1 in this half, and I think with that kill onto Wettables, that's all that needs to really be done here. We'll find one. If Sage can convert into a second, it's a different conversation, but he's taken very low, and we've still got Canadian out-ratting around the map. So when they put this focus up on the top floor, well, what is there to say? You find yourself getting stabbed in the back if you're not too careful. It kind of encourages you to move at a faster pace before you get this flank hit you from the backside. He's moving his way in towards game. They've found one more as well. Fisher's the last one left standing. 3 players on DarkZero to go. And this feels like a bit too much of a stretch for Fisher. It may be an expert fisherman, but DarkZero simply are not going to bite on this one. Pulling themselves away. They've still got the numbers advantage. Things are looking pretty good. There we go. Shotgun round the corner. Easy close out for DarkZero. A real change around as well, going from a Vigil to running around on a Clash, really slowing things down. And Tom, that is not going to be a chant at this major. Thank you very much. Do you know what you came up with?
No.
What do we think of Dez? Tory. What do we think of Tory's Dez? No way. Simply not happening. Simply not happening. Simply not happening. But again, I think without the pace coming out of Bliss so far, with things being as slow as they have been and kind of very non-committal, no real bite to their gameplay, a Clash is a perfect way to kill any kind of momentum that Bliss might be able to build up here. So I feel like DarkZero, in terms of game management, have just had things spot on for these first 5 rounds.
A minute, and every single...
down.
I was about to say, every single player still standing.
How is he down? What's he done? Is it a claim? No, what? Was he shot?
He wasn't reset, was he?
No. What's he gone down to?
Pamba's gone down.
I am so confused.
Pamba down.
I'm going to watch the stream.
All right. I'll talk about the approach. They're going in towards the site. The pressure onto NJR is looking the wrong way. He was caught entirely unaware. Bliss explode. And as they're picking up the player on the far side, Canadian, I said he could do a lot with a shield, but the main thing he did there was panic, caught on the hatch. They've entirely cut off, and what a read here from Bliss. Realized how much was far away, realized they hadn't been able to get any of it with the combination of the Deimos and the Lion, so went, let's send it.
It's the same sort of thing, though, coming out of Bliss, right? They want to push in on this top side. They want trench control. They want dining hatch. That hatch is open. The key thing to watch out for is the EMPs from Sage and the nades in the back pocket of Brendo. That's the combo they need to unsettle NGR from behind his shield, assuming, of course, the shield is in the same place. I haven't quite seen it yet, but I imagine it is. In fact, yes, it is. I can see him on it right now. Thank you very much, Observer. I believe we've got Sky for this game, actually, observing for us, which is lovely.
The Australian
There's the
dream.
EMP and the nade. Oh, I like the movement. He's going to push. If he gets a freebie here, this is... No, that is so smart, NGR. Oh, my God. I would have your babies. What a man.
Brendo gone. NJO stocked up and ready. A man with fancy glasses that's not really affected by this, but they have dropped the hatch to the loft-down side and just pushed their way around. Sage gets 1, gets 2. It's a 3 versus 3, and they've rested some of the site control, but they don't quite have the confidence to plant. So instead, caught by a shotgun, but not more than that. 2 versus 2, get the BP and get yourself a little pocket of space. You know that one's about to come down. And you push them further back. The grenade is the catch. A great play from Oda, but a great play from Beaulo. A 1 versus 1. Beaulo versus Fisho Guy. And he doesn't know where it's going down. Almost caught there by Fisho Guy. The blind comes out, the pre-fire angle, but Beaulo knows where the route is out, and he takes it, and that gives Fisho Guy a chance to rotate, get himself to a new position, give himself more to work with, and an even half. They're not going to be immediate towards it.
I think this time around the difference really is that we haven't seen too much focus on Library when we've had Bliss attacking. They've really favoured pushing in on the solar side of things, getting control of Trophy, for example, and working their way from the top side down. Admittedly, in the first round, they were sort of forced to do that without the hard breach, but we've seen the exact opposite out of DarkZero, who have started themselves with some Library control I think that we're very used to seeing. They love running Capital here. I think that's even a couple of years ago. We'd often see Canadian on the Capital and instead looking to get himself out on the office balcony and trying to catch out or burn through the player that sat on mezzanine behind a shield. There is no such player here for that because there are no shields in the back pocket of any of these Bliss players. None brought along for the round, so they can't play up on mezzas maybe comfortably as we're used to seeing. Thank you very much, Sky. And so for now, there's more dug back. They're more looking to play the denial game and more looking in towards those 3 C4s they've got sat in pocket, Emmy. That'll be where the real damage comes from here, and that's what DarkZero needs to be mindful of.
Quick play with the breach onto the single prep wall, and the response to be opening the mirror window. It means you can play it a little bit from inside, but it's such a dangerous position to be in. Not sure if the hatch is probably still reinforced at this point, but it's also a lot of soft, a lot of angles. There it is, and Fisher Guy's position can easily be fished out if they get a whiff of his play and a whiff of his place. There's also a drone hole not too far away. There's the whiff, there's the reveal, and there's NJR getting 2. Sage and Oda caught out. Beaulo's in, there's 2. They got the trade. Send it.
Beaulo's not dead. Not bad at all. Really good execute coming in. I was worried when they didn't make the move. NGR gets 2 kills, and that should really be the trigger for these next 2 to jump in, because at that point, the player that's holding the angle is the one who should then be looking away. Okay, where's NGR? Is he pushing me? You capitalize on that distraction. So, not quite the cleanest push through, but they've got the job done. They've brought down 4 players into a 3 versus 1, unless, of course, they can get Beaulo up, which I think they might just not bother for now, and they're looking to close things out. But I'm looking at the plan. Surely it should be going down sometime soon. Wettables almost had a freebie there.
Well, that's it. There was something that was pinging them. They were all desperately running around trying to find. Wettables had the vertical, and
hey,
well, they didn't have anything else. NJR, big round. As the approach starts here over the back, they've got the Grim. They've already got themselves a I don't know if I would call it full Solarium control because they don't trust it, but inside trophy towards the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
This could be very quick here if Bliss aren't keenly aware of what's happening.
Solar's the hardest thing to get. The hardest thing about solar control is getting people inside the map to then take it over, because otherwise you've got 2 windows you've got to swing in from, right? It's absolute chaos. You're liable just to be getting swung on and taken out. So having that trophy control below becomes really important, which then requires West main control and kitchen control. And Brendo's looking to make sure they haven't got that control established anymore. Steps in for the 1, but Pamba puts him in the dirt.
Well, there's a bit of wiggle room and width. And there's a great take, but Oda gets 1, cannot get the second. Pamba refrags, and exactly where he was. There's that game from DarkZero again, punishing Bliss.
Oh, there's the shield.
Hey, he found the shield, and they said he likes to get in people's faces, but apparently people like to get in his face too. They have themselves still this control. Beaulo, he's watching underneath. They have the window player, but look at the line of Wettables and Fisher Guy. Between the pair of them, they have the watch on both entrances.
Oda was really pushing to become Odin downstairs. Then when the 2 came swinging in, I thought, man, he should be dead to rights. Almost gets that second onto Pamba, but he's really hit 2 big shots to make sure his team have got that downstairs control retained. That means all of these guys now focusing on Solar can just carry on with what they've got to do. And I tell you what, Troy is feeling himself. He's like, I don't care. I'm marching at your face.
I told you.
I'm coming for some scolds.
I warned you all. You know, when you're staring at Labs, a map that can be competitive, we could still, regardless of whether this goes to or away from Blitz, see 3 maps.
Oh, yeah. Nighthaven's going to be a screamer. Absolute guarantee. No matter which way it goes. It'll be a really good game. Hey, there's the entry I was talking about. Thank God. And there's no response from DZ. Perfect. What I think they probably read in there is that this hatch control becomes really important for both teams if they're attacking this top side. They've had the read, the north side was the focus, so hey, let's get aggressive inside of dining. Let's get the contest down. They've got rid of a couple of drones, they've got a player, so now Brendo can quite safely just drop away back in towards site and play happily there. Good stuff.
And obviously the removal of the Flores. If you're thinking about the problems that might have been taken out of it, the shield swings that have been so impactful for the holds here and the defenses of DarkZero is something that are a little bit safer. There's obviously no grenades to sort of find their way around. You've got to either try and get pellets on them or just throw yourself at them. We've seen how well that goes. Monty making friends up on the top floor, and the friends don't want to see what happens next. Are they running because it's Canadian or because Montaigne is French? I don't know.
It's not like you can half ignore Monty anymore like you used to be able to. You could leave him in a corner of the room and go, okay, well, he's not really going to be a threat. He's going to feed info. And if he drops his shield to try and challenge me, cool, no problem. These days when he can run at you and just down you and really be a significant offensive threat, you can't quite ignore him the same way that you used to. So I actually love that we're seeing Canadian lean into it so much and really look to abuse it. We've seen so many bans of Monty at the competition, and this is probably going to be a good example of why, a good showcase so far as to why. Fair credit to Bliss, though, they have chewed through basically every drone on the other side. Only 3 left standing, though at this point, the Canadian is basically a walking drone feeding this information back and forth.
He's stuck himself close, so he doesn't get entirely swung on, but it's a little bit of an awkward pass he's got to make here. He's trusting that there's the watch on from the left-hand side of Pamber, I believe. Just making sure that, well, this could happen, actually. Swings their way around. It's NJR. And
cute play, man. Like it.
Gets the first, gets the next bit of pressure here.
Another flash, why not?
Blinds come out, gets them a second to pull the goo mine out. They've been able to wrest some control, and they're eyeing up the plant spot just next to it. The smoke canisters, good utilization as we start to have all of Bliss rotate their way around and try and be ready for this. There's no counter pressure currently coming through. 30 seconds is a little bit of time to rotate, but do they want to risk it?
They got a smoke left there as well. I was going to say this is what you can find him doing, is just set up on this corner and you're all good. But they've lost NGR on the back line. Beaulo's then got in though. All eyes are fixed on a Monty, and Beaulo goes, yeah, I'll have some of that. Gets in there, collects a 2. Brendo left all alone here against 2 players still on their feet. One of them being a shield user. Yeah, good luck.
10 seconds to go.
Yeah, at this point, the only thing that will be is to just pull out the planter.
Ow! What can you do about that?
Not much.
It's horrible. Horrible.
Not much.
Site itself, and then you've got DarkZero trying to work their way through the top. Don't want to get themselves C4'd out, so they're also making sure to clear in below. But here comes Big Bad Nadian. He's inside a lobby on the Monty.
I mean, look, he'll just try and push his way up the stairs, and then he gets caught by a C4. Well played, Wettables, and well played,
nice.
Sage. Has the cross. Baited him in. Oops.
I don't think I'll have his kids anymore.
NJR, it's back and forth with you. I'm sure you'll fall in love moments ago. Wet tables. Mops him up, but at least Nath finds one. However, Nath and Beaulo, Nath massively injured, very separated. And the kit, look at where it is. Horrifyingly just held in the middle of a stair set that they can get as a very easy watch from 2 stories, 15 million different angles and rooms.
That's going nowhere, realistically. It's well played by Bliss. I think the spring into action that we saw coming out of them, because I said for 7 rounds in a row, we didn't see them find the entry. Yeah, that's not good. And so they have no... What the... No way. Just no way. No, come on. Stop it. Come on. Let's leave it there. Let's stop. Let's all breathe a moment. Let's not throw. Thank God. Thank the Lord. Beaulo is still up though, and sure enough, they got a crossfire. Thank God, because that would have been a fitting end to this match that has felt like chaos from start to finish.
Checking as many corners as possible, but it's Beaulo, so you sort of let him cook to his own devices. In fact, as I said, that Canadian has rotated his way around towards the balcony. Let's see if he can try and find the route through. A quick and easy breach. Nothing was really contesting this, but again, think about where the side is. This is the pressure onto the vertical, and it's created that pressure across. Now, Beaulo can either try and use these angles to pinch out the frost if he wants, but it creates a phantom pressure that allows this on the top end. Solarium. The eyes are coming in, the pressure comes across. There's Sage getting the first, but the response from Beaulo on towards the back end.
Filth, like literally from one end of the map to the other there. You've got 2 kills taking place and someone caught in the crossfire, bang in the middle. Sage, in that case, I thought for a second that was a hipfire that got that kill. I would have cried, but no, it was Nath who got the side swipe instead. Wettables trades one back the other way, and it's down now to an advantage for Bliss, but straight, not 2 rounds in a row. It was NJR now, and now it's Nath. What's going on?
Oops, Frost.
Come on.
It's all Frost. Big Bad Nadian. He did mess up a Selma there, unfortunately, which didn't give them the wiggle room and the width. On towards the dining table, has to enter, and he knew where they were, but that didn't really change his fate. 6-3, 2-4, 2-5. Now, as Bliss didn't get the immediate one after their timeout, but have since found enough to start fighting back in.
Depth perception was not my forte, apparently. But I thought he was down towards on balcony, ready to jump in the fun. But here he's ready to play on windows, so they're keeping this really narrow and tight.
I mean, that's it, right? What do they really have right now? The pressure onto the mirror windows comes through. Big Bad Nadian starts to try and roll his way through the bathroom. It's the crossfire official guy that gets one and then gets dropped by Montaigne. Beaulo does find Wettables on the back end as Brendo tries to step himself back into bathroom and put the pressure on towards Solarium. Now, the Monty is currently alone with the kit, and, well, Canadian just keeps on pushing. He's getting the reveals for his team, finding out what's safe alongside the Bees. Can tuck and maybe go for a plant, but crossfires all over the shop. And it is DarkZero to find that final bit of spice.
Yes.
To push that game over. It was slow, but that sort of altogether effort was just enough. Oh, and a Montaigne, as it always is.
Either way, as we said, this first round is up on that top floor. So what are we expecting to see here? Well, you got a couple of options, and normally it involves a mix of these all coming together. You can put a big focus on IT and inside a garage. You can have yourself coming in from the northeast side of things as well and putting a lot of focus up there instead. That does kind of revolve working through connector, a very strangely named room, because it's not really much of a connector. And you also want to look towards aqua stairs up towards the northwest of your screen, and normally that involves a backstab later into the round of some description. So keep an eye out for those things. Those are the three areas where normally attackers start off with some kind of focus point, but Troy's in, he's rushing in, he's inside of electric, charging his way in towards the site already. I can see him from the top down, and he's gone in and died. That's unfortunate. However, for now, they've found themselves a number of kills, but Bliss have held out.
I was going to say, pretty much everybody's died, but Bliss have died a little bit less. They have themselves in the 3-2 situation, but there's still a fight inside the site itself. They've pushed themselves up, 3 versus 1. There's a smoke canister, and there's a Bliss opening round. They tried something there. They tried to cook DarkZero, but they got cooked themselves. Next breach happens above, but at this point, you're sort of thinking, okay, are they just going to try and send it through the single Animus wall? And will they be stopped in time? What is going to be that direct action that can otherwise cut this in half? Here goes the motion of Canadian. Here's 2 drones working ahead of him. They're not entirely dedicated as of yet, but that gun 6 will sort of maybe point out, all right, let's start acting around the top of the hatch. Let's start trying to put some pressure in. They pull back out. And a C4 doesn't quite connect with anyone, but it's down to the 2 players not at that door, which I think is Nafe
and someone else.
Pamba.
They're watching for the vertical play from the hatch, right, which I understand. A good rounding, actually, and Sage has broken that open, which now really, I was going to say it threatens the downstairs, but Sage just swung the hatch, and they were just ready. Pamba getting one more back for himself as well, and now the Capital can spring into action, looking for this plant to go down, but still, they've got that vertical cover. Fish is just waiting for someone to step through, looking to see what he can find, and with all the gadgetry coming out, I don't think he'll find too much. Troy will go down here, Diffuser on the ground. Can the rest of DarkZero recover this one out in the 3 versus 3? They get the C4 out on top, Fish into another one as well. Bliss, it looks like so far, are holding back this stem of aggression coming out from DarkZero. Round 1 and this round, they've controlled it incredibly well.
I mean, again, a little bit of question around the take itself. They sort of saw this opportunity, didn't trust the opportunity fully. They did only really need to get a little bit of control of the verticality, but maybe they didn't know how much was dedicated up there. Obviously, Nafe lost the first engagement directly above the hatch. They then dropped that player, but it is just a 1 versus 2 above, even if it is a Deimos in that situation. And
it's more about the deny on the wall that I was looking at a second ago as well. Obviously, Sage here on that Bandit has got the Bandit or the Blitz. Should have confused it for the fun of it now, shall I?
Yeah.
And the Bandit, of course, with that wall denial coming through, just again putting up another small obstacles for DZ to try and work through. But we're into that 2-minute point, and by the looks of it, they're trying to work their way around it. So forget about trying to work through the wall. We'll just go around it instead. It's like that good old, what is it, kids book? Can't go under it, can't go over it, I'll just go through it.
I have no idea what you're talking about. They try and cover the verticality and pop their way with the smoke canisters, and this is... it's a decision.
I know that story. What?
I probably do.
Plant's going in.
Yeah, he's going to try and see if he can get it cemented. They've tucked themselves pretty brilliantly. Actually, I said I don't know if it's a good decision. They proved me wrong. What a steal. That has been an...
I mean, a plant's gone down with 10 players still alive on the field, and they're still alive 10 seconds after the plant. That is the weirdest plant in the world. But like that, a flurry of kills come through. Beaulo, I tell you what, he's carving through not just the enemy, but also his own team. But who cares? He's giving you a big advantage. 3v2 for DarkZero then, as Nate finds 1 for his team 2. 3v1 for DarkZero. A nice shot from Otter coming out, but I'm afraid he hasn't really got the time here. 10 seconds to go until it's too late to start that defuse, and neither player left on DarkZero are going to give him a second. DarkZero take round 3.
Good.
All right, IT, opened up. Last time round, it was that big rush in from Canadian, if you remember, as well, with the Blitz, the Vault into Electric, the charge on forward, the smokes being scattered around to try and create enough distraction, I guess, for him to get in there and cause a little bit of carnage, but it didn't come off, which is why things are slowed down a little bit, at least, this time around. Not 100% sure on why we've got the IQ on side as well, with no Valkyrie being brought along by the other, but maybe more to deal with the fact they've got a few nades they want to be throwing in there as well, looking at the 2 in the back pocket of the IQ, the flashes, all that kind of good stuff, as well as the bulletproofs, which has now been sniffed out and taken down. Intel offline, but every player is still standing as we get into the last 60. Waffling, that's a good one as well.
every single player, as you said, still standing. And Fisher Guy is almost the one called out in Fish or top blue, depending on how you go for the call. But it has a shotgun and is so ready for the possibility of popping a head off. Also has the canisters, but doesn't want to be the first extension caught. Now has to focus on to replace Sage. Keep control of rafters, but look at this. 3 players read their weakness and exploit it. A DarkZero children's book written and employed perfectly here. Although that was almost huge. It was a changing
Canadian's
of
got a
the
bad
guard.
experience with stairs, but this time round comes away on top.
I mean,
They are running through them now.
And Nafe goes for the plant, goes for the cement on the back end. It is just odor. But I think the only thing he smells here is blood on this water. If this goes wrong, is this a timeout?
It needs to be a timeout sooner than that, I think, honestly, because with the way the game has been so chaotic and uncontrolled, I feel like you just need that moment of pause to sort of get things going. I mentioned for Bliss that if you're at a spot where you're coming out not too strong on the defensive side, you're going to feel the sting a little bit. And so I think if they wanted to have a stronger control of this, maybe a little bit sooner is nice. Getting the entry is certainly a way of doing it. That was my main criticism for them back on the last map. Was 7 rounds in a row, they lost the entry, not a single one was traded out. Whereas here at least they've got one back on the other side, and there is no response from DZ. Beaulo caught a little bit out of position on what I would normally say is a really key operator, but you've got the buck on side here for Pamba, so it's far from the end of the world. Someone was like, wow, you guys read chat. And I was like, we do read chat, yeah.
We're not supposed to.
And someone else did something really bad, like Fisher Guy, more like box like a fish, and someone was like, you are terrible.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's
good.
really bad.
Our
And
job's
then
to
someone
say-
else was like, oh, these guys are coping so hard for Bliss. I'm like, we're not.
No, we're not.
I've been celebrating DZ for ages now. Still, Weatherballs off for a 2K. Maybe it will flip to Bliss now for this round. Why not? Big start
I'm
for
coping
him.
for them.
Yeah. I mean, Castle, one worth talking about as well, because obviously now has the magnified scope, is an absolute demon. It's not about the UMP being a bad gun anymore, as Canadian once famously said. It's actually pretty sick now.
DarkZero just don't really have the utility to formulate anything too deep. Yes, they could get some of this stuff done. Utilizing that on a castle window shows the sort of cost. Pamba does have a hard breach charge still in pocket, and they have some smokes, but with the man advantage going against you, you can't really try and just shove your way into sight. You have to do this. Fish on the back end. Wedables is still cooking. Gets one more. Sage goes down to the cross. Okay.
So we're throwing. Please no. That was a joke. Don't crucify me. Come on, Bliss. You've got the clash on side. Fisher guys should be able to get this one over the line. With the rest of his team, only 20 seconds still to go. And so Pamba and NGR have really got to work some magic if they want any hope of getting this one done. But then Pamba magic sprinkled in here. And suddenly what looked to be a clear-cut round, Weatherballs is going to be fuming if they lose this. Hello?
No!
Hello? He's on top of you, bro. What are you doing?
If he'd shot and didn't go for the knife, he would have got it, but he gets it anyway. There's 3 seconds and a plant from absolutely nothing. DarkZero have got this back together. There's the drop, but Brendo is a step too late, and the man is out the door. Now, I said they didn't have much, and I said, you look at what they've got, but what are you doing?
All right, I apologize for flipping to Bliss temporarily. I'm back on the DZ hype train. That is unreal. It's Brendo for me. Sat upstairs playing inside of storage. He's the one that they need to move outright because storage is such a power position on towards this main breach. Like, look, they walk in, they're dead. They can use smokes if they really want to. Of course, there's no warden you've got to worry about strictly. But it's still the fact that he might just spray. We've even seen players dropping C4s through floors to try and pick up a freebie. I think it was Kendra who did it back on console the other day. It was beautiful. So that's what they need to clear out first. And I think Brendo's now becoming very acutely aware that DarkZero had step 1 on their checklist as get the wall open. Step 2, kill Brendo.
This is the thing. Because everyone hears the wall getting opened, but when you don't hear anything, you go, all right, what's happening? That's that moment of worry. Pamba slipped his way past the bulletproof that was droned to make sure it wasn't active. Wedables, I said, are you ready? But nobody was ready for that. Brendo does find Canadian. The kick goes cold on the breach, and as Pamba's inside causing pressure, they'll probably think, well, maybe there's more than just one. They've got to rotate their way back to Pamba, holding on to the fight, but can't win it out. Oda. A huge moment for him to try and reclaim some of this. NJR gets the kit back, throws some flashes in, but Brendo explores outside, and Nafe was caught pretty easily on the back end. It is, once again, an impossible situation, but Bliss proved impossible is still possible.
Again, call me a cynic here, but Brendo is literally what we spoke about as the issue inside of storage. He's killed 2 players up there, one that is swung on the window, and then also killed Nani on the breach, who's tried to push in. Like, dare I say it's obvious. They knew this was the thing that had to be in their control, and they tried to get around it but through the smokes. The easier play probably is to go in there and just punish him. That would have really helped them get this round moving, but instead they've been absolutely slammed by the Aussies, holding up on that first floor. That kind of minimalist take of the map in order to try and get a plant down, coming back to bite them.
I'm not going to say they're at risk of the potential of Big Bad Canadian trying to force their way up towards this fight. He does like to re-explore, but think about where the site is. Think about what is being extended and what is being taken at this point. He's got the lines up. There's a drone tucked right next to him that he slipped on by. Now, Oda is well aware.
Is he, though?
Well, he's aware that someone's close. The side they're going to come from, because of the Vigil utilization, that's the unknown. Ooh, this is wasting time.
That's it. It's keeping the Grim away, and they need the Grim for the execute realistically, because those bees are what really help you restrict defender movement inside and around the site itself. If Troy can get in here and do some damage, because Oda's coming hunting, it's a matter of patience. And Canadian looks like the one who's got all the time in the world to wait here. He may just catch him out if this carries on.
I mean, this is it. Look, there's a minute 10 left. We have a 1 versus 1
I was about to say, you could swear it's a 1v1.
and your catch. Oda's waiting.
Oh, he's just so ready.
And just gets
He
him.
was locked on that pixel.
He knew where it was. Wedables gets NJR. Pamba stops the thread, but they've retaken at least some of this verticality. It's Pamba that gets swung out from the side, though. Wedables just keeps pushing. Now, DarkZero, they have 2 remaining players. 40 seconds to try and hold on. There's a great first for Nafe. He's got pings on the second and pops.
Timing.
A second split. But
Shot.
Brendo knew exactly the route. Beaulo gets one on the back end. Has a C4 and a 2 versus 1
No
versus 1.
way.
Beaulo has been a huge part of the approach here. The C4's a bit loose, a little bit wild. Brendo versus Beaulo. And the similarities probably end there.
Okay.
The castle barricade
I rate it.
gives them the width and gives them not a true idea of where they are, but the hot pings reveal where they are going. Now, with this option, Brendo's pulled himself back. It only takes a second of a fight there. Brendo just pushed that one over the line. It was a very sudden snap, and then you start to think, okay, well, maybe a lot of the focus of DarkZero was pulled away. Canadian was isolated. Canadian was wasting time with the lines, and tomato, who is at blame? That's an impossible finger-pointing game. Bliss, they get themselves back in the front. They haven't been here since the second round, or the third, when things started to get peeled away from them by DarkZero threading 3 rounds in a row. Can Bliss replicate the same to get themselves a little bit of distance here?
Pamba just a little bit off the timing there as well. That Fenrir removed away.
Bomb has been located.
Now Drona can carry on for the side of Bliss. They can figure out where he is. Now they know. Okay, there's a Fenrir dug in. We've got to get rid of him first. This is where all resources from Bliss should start getting poured towards this top floor, clearing out the roamers or at least catching them on their drop away. EE1Ds are coming out as well. So it is forcing quite a bit of time, attention, and resource. 6 drones already gone, by the way, for the side of Bliss, but they sorely need to get something for this. Pamba's going to find Fisher Guy and the spray through the wall. Brendo into one, Sage into another. Top floor secure, question mark?
I think there's always a sort of question mark on anything on this map. They are still so spread out. You can sort of get a big circle of players trading places, and Oda does his best to make it, but there it is. There's always someone seemingly a few steps away. Nafe hotfoots it, rotates it onto the back. The 2 players want to maybe try and get themselves closer towards a trade situation, but look how far apart they are. So instead, they've sort of got to trust that they can either take an engagement, take a retake, or take a little bit of the pressure away. That's bad timing. As the drone gets thrown out, whether it was flank watch or active, I mean, it instantly being shot gives an impression of Wedables that he can't quite leave this ground yet.
Not just yet. But I think knowing there's 2 available here, this is where Bliss, with that numbers advantage, can just kind of pause for a second. Yes, you've got basically no information, 1 drone to your name. Enough that you can just play together, look for those trades, as long as they're playing tight and not getting too isolated, which I fear they might have. Okay, never mind, just about gets away a few seconds ahead of Nafe, and that's the important part. If he goes down there, you're down to a 2 versus 2. At that point, all bets are off. NGR very much alone on site, though. If they push in here and force a 3v1, this is theirs for the taking. He's dug in deep, but Nafe has managed to find one. It looks like they might let this one crumble away. A couple of shots come through, but Nafe, he sells himself short. Sage picks him up, and NJR's got to pull off a massive 1v2.
Such a small amount of
Downs.
health, and that's all it takes to get the down. He's pushing on. They have the pings. They have the intel of the players getting picked up, but with 7 seconds, how do they do it? He stepped in close. He reveals his position. They got the blinder. 1 versus 1. Just has to stop the planter. Does he full send it? Oh, he tries to. But Wettables has the cover, and Bliss have a 2-round buffer now. 5-3.
Really, Fisher's the one to watch out for here. You can see him currently downstairs as well, just hanging around the door of garage, waiting to start his march up those stairs. He is the one with the diffuser as well, so even more so a reason why all eyes should be on him. They want some pressure to support him, though. Most importantly, do not want someone flanking up behind him and ruining what should be a beautiful push coming in behind this Monty. Got the mirror on side, and Impact comes out, does basically no damage, and Beaulo's got the right idea. There might be a swing coming on through straight after. Look, 2 impacts, and it's done what? 15 HP? Nothing.
Yeah,
They don't do as much damage anymore.
Yeah, they got nerfed recently, if you're unaware of that. And, well, before you could just huck 2 impacts at the front of a blitz and they would die. You can't quite do the same thing here, but the Monty getting rid of that mirror window allows these the Selmas to play. And also, well, there's no impact to throw your way around an impact trick against this breach. Fisher guy rotates his way towards the top of blue. There's a C4 beeping ominously atop the door, and he leaves. You're not going to stick around and see what happens. You've got to maybe try and do this. He's baiting the explosion, but it hasn't entirely covered it. They have the ping on the player all the way on the back of the chassis.
They're trying to figure out the way through here as well. They're not quite sure 100% on what the move should be. Obviously, Fisher Guy is going to be the spearhead of this. There's a rounding coming in from Nafe here as well. He shouldn't be able to find him, of course, shield-bearing operator and all that. But it will slow them down. It will impede him. There's no C4 on side for Nafe at this point either. In fact, all they've really got to stop the Monty are goo mines and 1 more C4. And sure enough, Fisher Guy steps straight into 1. Sage in a great position here, just waiting for this push to come on through. And Fisher Guy's found Beaulo. Monty is a menace.
Well, Sage is able to get weight, but there's 1 more that's coming around the back end. They weren't quite aware of. Sage goes down. Canadian's revealed his position, and now the shield going for the plant might get caught by the C4, but the timing, the rotate round, and the trust Fisher Guy had in the motion from blue, and now a 4 versus 1, and JR. Even this might be a step too far.
Beautiful.
It is Bliss on the back of DZ's timeout. Don't slow down. Just to irritate you all. This is what you have wrought.
You've done this to yourself.
You have made this bed.
And only yourself to blame.
Lie in it. 6-3. 2 minutes left of this round, and their chance to try and put some pressure on, and the pressure is going to be falling down towards
Some
the
real
basement.
good sound effect from you. The news thing.
Thank you.
Very good. And now suddenly you don't want to talk bad about chat anymore. 1 minute and 45 still to play. Everyone's still alive, so no early deaths falling off from either side, which is remarked on a couple of times. You've seen players stepping forward and being snapped out, being caught out of position. There's no ability to trade them. They've got a red ping here actually inside. They know that someone's on their belly. They're rolling around like a fish. And Sage is going to... What on earth is Canadian doing?
He's face dancing real bad.
Breakdancing because he knows that he's being taken out very shortly after. And sure enough, removed from the round. 5v4. Bliss starting that march on towards victory here on Nighthaven Labs.
Brendo still has the chance to try and hunt down Beaulo, but Beaulo doesn't quite get the full fat bite. It's Nafe on the back end. Suddenly you have this structure we talked about, and there's the removal. As I said, the game that DarkZero are trying to get the handle on was just being that 1 step ahead, that position of the trade game where they had the advantageous position. Now it is sort of a 3 versus 3 at this point. Fisher Guy could be recovered, and is. That's why they accidentally dropped the kit, I believe, because it's the same button. There he is, picked back up on the back end, but 40 seconds. Think about where Beaulo is. Think about how Pamba has just killed somebody. It's not going to be an easy approach to land here for Bliss.
No, it's a hard battle. We keep on speaking about this sort of thing when the attackers lose out players early on. You're coming down to a spot where the defenders don't mind losing a pulse, losing a lesion. No C4s admittedly in the back pocket here at the mute anymore is going to be a little bit of a stinger, but they'll happily take a 3v3 when it comes to sight because the attackers can't flood as many angles at once. And Wettables just absolutely domes Pamba. Said he was having a bit of a map, and sure enough, it has carried on. And Bolo's retaken the hatch. From there, like crumble down. Otter's got to try and find his last man, but Bolo's going to do the right thing. He'll sit, he'll wait, and as soon as that plant starts going down, he is in. Otter not going to be able to finish this one off. Got the red ping on him, and Beaulo just about gets there. DarkZero take round 10. I was going to say as well, nothing too crazy. No Monty being brought along by Fisher Guy that did so much work for them last time around. So they've kind of, I guess, pulled back a little bit here and just gone for the much more conventional setup. The double hard breach, the Thatcher on side, the Lion. And looking in towards that, normally you bring the Lion along in this current meta to deal with the Azami that, of course, is permanently banned away, but still very powerful as an operator.
Now there is a single player underneath. Hey, it's probably Canadian. It's one of his favorite places to be. Although he actually is on the mirror. Oh, it's still Canadian with the C4, ready to try and cook anyone that gets to step in. Now they've had a decent intel game, but I believe he's placed it, and he's just going to... No, in fact, it's still in pocket. He doesn't trust his position. Beaulo and Pamba have both suffered little scrapes from long-range swings of the Ash, and Brendo just sort of tucking and pre-firing. They drop the hatch, though. They're still stretching the space. They realize what won them the last round, and they're making sure they really play that game.
March then with that push coming in. Flash coming out over the top of Electric here, and they are in. EE1D out. At least for now, the Goo Mines impeding the push forward. NJR on a big swing. Had a chance to get two there and really take this one through to the next round. For now, going to hold on. Sage in for one. Immediate trade out there. Great bit of team play coming out from DarkZero. But when all the dust has settled, it's 3v3.
They didn't get the confirm on the player, and they didn't have the confirmation on the motion either. Look at them all stacked up, though. What a bit of a risk, Wettables. He's able to get one Brendo.
1v2.
Through the vertical, gets Canadian from underneath. A 2 versus 1, technically. Pamba, he's looking for the perfect position, and he gets the catch. A triple for the Pamba party that was premature from Demo and Ollie because they already paid for the supplies. But here could be a chance to utilize them. A 1 versus 1. Brendo, he's going to hold on to the plant. There's 9 seconds, and clever play. Get the player up, take it as a 2 versus 1, and go for the fight and find it. DarkZero, hold out the round.
Wow, I'm sweating. Jordan might be onto something here. I'm going to lose my job. It's building up to that point.
They've got rid of some of the castle, some of the shepherding of the space itself, but they're leaving the one up on the right-hand side for now, hoping that nobody gets the swing on the storage side. And again, you know, play the space. Give yourself the direct route. You've got the Monty, and you can try and make this work with a more limited space because of the protection it offers you. However, either plant, either
have a ukulele,
side,
man. Ukulele.
Either side, it comes in on this, the vertical. And they're a little bit untrustworthy because look underneath. It's Canadian playing underneath the site. What? With a pulse? What? And a C4? Never in a million years.
No.
It's always going to happen.
Okay, no, please.
We see ourselves back in very quickly. That's Sam and that's Pamba popping the head of Oda on cargo control. All of this is being read by the pulse. All of this approach is well advertised. There's the attempt at the plant. Wettables gets the cover, and there's the swing around the back, but
they're going to do it.
It's 2 kills that come out from the side of DZ. They've stopped the diffuser, they've stopped the plant, and somebody's gone for a big rotate. Out cargo window, and apparently still there. To fight down the cargo stairs. He's tucked round to the left-hand side. They've pulled themselves back. Pamba's back in the building on the second story. But with 15 seconds, oh no, Derry, you know what's about to happen,
Jordan's
don't you?
Right. No. No, not like this. No. No. He's going to be insufferable in chat. Absolutely insufferable. Oh, it's gone to OT. Oh.
Okay, overtime.
Who starts on defense? I haven't even looked at the screen in about 2 minutes.
Bliss start on defense, but it's 3-3 halves.
Look what Nadian's on. Look what Nadian's on. Let's follow Nadian. Let's see if he can. The man's 2 and 10. What's he going to do?
I really want this to go horribly wrong. But just to continue, I want to go into the third map, but only because I want to see how far the fight with chat can go.
Sammy's going to need therapy after this match. Oh, this is. He's followed the stream, but he can't talk for 5 minutes. He can't do nothing.
Only.
Sam will announce himself to the world in a few minutes' time. Don't you worry.
Producer Sam's about to find a bit of a beef with you all, and the pressure is going to be inside the side. It's 3-2-1 go, smashing their way all the way around. Remember, we said there was only a single player here before. It's the same strategy. They do have one on the cargo stairs side. And as the calls come out, NJR is the first to suffer.
He can't find them.
He can't find anybody. The
Bliss
gets the blind, the Fenrir gets the bonk. knocked around. They've got the breach open. They have the control. How do they retake here? They're in a very sticky situation, and Nath makes it even more sticky. The swing round, Oda's caught. Nath with the 3. Where's he been? Hanging around the kitchen.
They're going to make this 4 in a row, and I love the fact they've realized site was basically empty. Troy spent 30 seconds trying to find someone on a blitz, but they've got in there, they've ignored the players off site, they've got the plant going down. Brendo's got it all to do. Pamba's not going to leave anything for him. A flawless round, and they're 1 round away, Emmy, from securing that spot at our main stage on Friday. I don't think it'll be, there's only an A stream, so you won't get this kind of cast again, guys. I'm sorry. However, but you can still enjoy the game, no doubt. IT being opened up. I'm starting that march on forward. You can see for now, at least most of DarkZero's players are dug back on site as well. You've got the one lurking out towards Aqua. We saw last time around when Fisher Guy was at least on the shield. There was a little bit of late round push in that direction, and maybe they're half expecting that. Of course, he's on the thermite. They might not know this just yet, or they will know because it's been opened up. But is it Fisher Guy on it or not? Who knows?
They're trying to anticipate one of those sort of later pushes, and that's one of those problems that we've seen, as I said. Although they started with success on their attacks, it felt late. They're trying to solve that, but a C4 is the solution Pamba has deployed. They have that trade advantage. They have too, because where's Big Bad Nadian? He's underneath you! With a C4 and all the intel to try and drive it. When it gets one stage, gets a second, but held off, could not progress any further because of the castle. Fisher Guy from the top rope doesn't get anything! Because he's what? Big Bad Canadian underneath you! Wettables, all that's left of Bliss's hope of taking this one and keeping their hopes alive today. 6-7 in a 1 versus 3, but look at what's in the pockets. 3 smoke canisters. Look who's round the corner, a trade, DarkZero. Welcome to the Manchester stage. Prepare to have Tom J. Sherlock and thousands of Brits screaming very funny things at you.